Hello, everyone. This is Fabio, and welcome to Blockchain Beats, where we discuss the intersection of everything music and NFTs. Our guest today features Visionnaire, an artist and producer now running his own cultural initiative known as Mavens, planning to bridge the gap between artists, builders, and buyers in the Web3 community. Glad you could come on today, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me and reaching out. This is exciting.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, right off the bat, I got to say, you have like a way with words. Every time, I read your mirror or anything you post on Twitter, bro, like, it just gets me thinking.
Well, that's a good thing. I pride myself on being able to be as thoughtful as I can. So I'm glad, and I'm excited to chat with you. A lot of people don't know, but like we're kind of from the same school of thought as it pertains to like music. So I'm really excited to talk all things Web3, but definitely like music and like our roots on SoundCloud. You know what I'm saying? So really excited.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely no boundaries when when it comes to music production, and I feel like we definitely take that same mindset into other avenues such as like Web3. Um, for those who may not know who you are, can you tell us a bit about yourself? About your music, how you got started. Maybe your journey into Web3, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll try to keep it concise, but yeah, basically, my start in music was really just like uh wanting to like find a way to express myself in a unique way that wasn't necessarily controlled by like other people, so like I just really enjoyed the ability to like write and it just be me and it'd be like my ideas and like my perspective and my words. And then same thing with music, it was like, oh, I can make the music too, like I have like a lot of control over this mode of expression. And kind of picked up producing in like middle school, was on like GarageBand, and then eventually graduated to Logic, and was just so in love with the ability to just like speak my mind and like be myself. And eventually, I started to really figure out like how to make music that people want to dance to and like people want to recite and like vibe to. So then I started like doing shows and stuff like, and I'm from New York, so I started doing shows in New York City, doing showcases at different venues. And that sort of like took me into like the music industry, like for real. I got signed in high school when I was 17. And that was the point at which I hit the glass ceiling, right? So like I started to run into like people who didn't want me right, to like be in control of every aspect, right,
Right.
of the songwriting, the production, right? Because it's a business, right? And there's money to be made, and there's like, perspectives that people have on me. So like I went through a lot, I was young. So like I went through a lot of like identity crises, of people like telling me that I'm someone that I'm not, or trying to turn me into something that I'm not. So that was kind of the beginning of Visionnaire, because like I felt so judged and so like scrutinized over like my appearance. For everyone listening, like I'm a cishet black man, so like it was all about like my hair, cutting my hair, or like the way that I speak. Like if I'm gonna rap, I need to not talk as proper, and like I need to wear certain clothes. So when I got out of my deal and I dropped out of college, about a year, maybe like 2 years after being on my deal, the first thing I thought was like, I want to make music again, but I don't know how to approach it, because my image and like the way that I present is like such a problem. So I was like, wait, what if I just like, what if I just put out music and there's like no image and it's not me, right? That now I can't be judged, and now you can only listen to what I'm doing as an artist. Like you can't judge me based on how I look before you hear my music. And that's really like how Visionnaire started, and then I stumbled across Audius on Twitter, like in I think like 20. I started Visionnaire in like 2015. I think I stumbled across Audius in like 2019, and that's where I was like, oh snap! Like there's like blockchain technology, which I was familiar with, is like, oh, it intersects with music. Like this is really cool. And I started just like building, just like helping get like different artists on the platform, different Black artists, and really just being a participant and a voice for the marginalized communities that were on Audius. And that was sort of my beginnings in like community building and like Web3. And from Audius, I jumped into NFTs, and like I got connected to that whole kind of community slash family. And now I'm here. So that's like a little bit about how I got into music, the whole like Web3 intersection, and like, kind of like, yeah, just how it all started, for Visionnaire.
That's amazing. Yeah, like you have a ton of experience that you didn't really think was even gonna like, your music and then how it crossed over into Web3. Um, everything just kind of happened is what it sounds like. You were just trying to be intentional with your actions, being equitable, like you said, finding, collaborating, just communicating with Black artists. It's very important, to be intentional with those things, because those things kind of, I don't know, sometimes people don't see the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's a fact. And it's also something that I recognize too is uh, there's really no value in anything if you're not being intentional. Like you can do things and you can create success for yourself, like by just what I'm saying, just like just doing stuff to do stuff, right? I think that's how we discover our passions, right? That's how we discover things we care about, is like, oh, like let me just try this, like maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't really care. But eventually, as you start to figure out what you're good at, you have to start making like definitive choices as to like what you're really going to put your heart and soul into. So for me, that was music. That was the thing that I discovered, and just was like, yeah, I love this thing, I want to do it, and then I started to really um pour myself into it, as we start to get the skills. And that's something I always, I try to tell people all the time, like, do whatever you want to do, try things, experiment. Once you find the thing that sticks, the only thing that's going to differentiate you or separate you from everyone else is like how much of yourself you can fit into that thing. Same thing goes for like community building in Web3, NFTs. It's all about intention.
I couldn't have said that any better. um, you mentioned how kind of your introduction into Web3 in general, but was Audius that moment when you were like, oh, I'm about to dive into NFTs or just Web3 in general? Um, and how was that experience?
Yeah. So what happened more specifically was like that, and it wasn't even the monetary value. It was just the concept of receiving an airdrop, like receiving a token airdrop. Cause like I was one of the first 10,000 artists on Audius. So when they did their initial airdrop, I got a bunch of tokens. And once I understood that those tokens represented equity, in Audius itself, like it changed my like perspective. I was like, wow, like this is what it feels like to contribute to something and get something meaningful back, and that, yeah, that sort of like initial sort of influx of crypto, um it kind of supercharged not only my steps into Web3 and like NFTs, but it also like made me really, really excited, and actually like helped me pay bills and like kind of do stuff in my life. So that was the first time that really, really happened for me. Um, you know, in a way where like I wasn't giving up intellectual property to do the same thing, right? So like when I was signed, like, I had songs that were placed and like little things were like, yeah, I'm making money, but I had like, the label owned all my music, right? So it's like,
Right.
yeah, of course I'm gonna get some kickback. Like I gave you all my like the keys to my soul, right? So like, Audience was the first time that happened, and like it felt like I got something for being who I was, not for anything else. You know what I mean? And that was like really meaningful for me. And that's what like turned the light bulb on of like, oh, this is what equity means, like for real. Like this is what it should feel like. And that's where I started to really kind of build on what Visionnaire looks like in Web3.
Yeah, I think that airdrop was very pivotal to a lot of, artists and musicians that were on Audius, or even if they weren't, they heard about it probably. I know a lot of people who've heard about it that, wish they did it just for the money purposes, but um, taking a bigger step back, just realizing that, this is your reward for participating and contributing to said community, whether it's Audius or ENS or Uniswap or any other type of, airdrop that has been done.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's definitely, I feel like there's like when we look back 20 years from now, there's going to be so many artists and so many projects that like Web3 projects that are going to be traced back to that airdrop. It's going to be really interesting to see that in retrospect.
Hey, well, congrats on being, one of the first 10,000 musicians on there. You're only one of 10,000 who can say that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, and shout out all the goats that were on there with me. Like, I know Caption was in there.
Caption, yep.
I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Bonsai was in there. The whole Bonsai Collective, rest in peace. There were so many goats. Oshi was in there. Like, there were so many goats that were a part of that initial 10,000. So, yeah, shout out to the whole OG audience community.
It's actually very interesting that you point that out because, like, I mean, for people who weren't in SoundCloud, like integrated in SoundCloud or with like that subsection of the culture of the community, a lot of them have actually dove into Web3, like you said, Oshi or like Defi, Sober Rob, Selection, many more. So, I feel like they all shared that same experience of maybe being kind of brushed aside by a label, or maybe their sound wasn't fitting to current trends or whatever it may be. So, I'm glad that Web3 has allowed that opportunity for people to feel like they're being finally acknowledged or recognized monetarily for their music.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see artists be able to name their price, and I think even more so than the monetary, it's really meaningful to watch artists like spin up projects,
Right.
and build things like from absolutely nothing. Like today, the homie Blair, like basically she created a manifold smart contract to basically approximate a sound drop that was like, she was just like, I feel like so many people are trying to get on sound and it's like a bottleneck. There's like, they're letting on artists one at a time because they're trying to curate their drops. And yeah, Blair was just like, I built my own sound drop, like 25 editions, just like sound does. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need sound to do this, right? You don't need sound to do this. And that's like artists owning their means of distribution is something that's, as I've learned more about the technology, that's something that is really, really interesting to me. Like what happens when artists become Discord or become DistroKid or they become Ditto, right? Where it's like now I literally am the distributor of my own works. That's the thing that probably has me most excited about Web3 technology for at least for recording artists.
I think that's a very important, being able to own the means of production in that sense of, yeah, like literally from the start to finish, you know, there's not some middleman taking care of it, which is going to do wonders, I think, in the long run. I kind of got ahead of myself. I wanted to play a song by you to kind of get people in the headspace of the type of music that you make, um, before we start talking about the other stuff. So, yeah, I think this is a great time to do that.
Yeah, let's do it. What's on first?
Sunspot.
Ooh, okay, it's lit.
All right. This is actually before, do you want to share any, info, nuances, backstory to this song?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, long story short, Sunspot is actually a remix of an interlude on my first album, which is called Bloom. And I guess the one thing I could say about this record is at the time, this is like golden era, at least for me, this is like golden era SoundCloud. And I had started to like become connected to a lot of the producers and artists that I was like looking up to and like deriving inspiration from. One of which Pandy co-produced this record with me. Like Pandy is like
Shout out
one of the
Pandy.
most amazing producers I've ever heard in my life, right? I think he was 16 when he made this beat. So yeah, so in short, this record is just one big shout out to like all those guys. Like shout out like the whole like rest in peace Slider Gang. Shout out like Malik Bawa, you know, the James, Mantra Blue, the homie, you know, the whole Bonsai Collective crew, Caption, you know, Boy Hugo, Fully Surfing, Fax Mercury. Like, so this record is like, it's definitely me rapping and like getting the bars off, but a lot of the references in the bars are actually to these guys that like inspired me to like come back to making music after, you know, being put in a position where like I was told I wasn't good enough or talented, you know, to make it as a recording artist. So yeah, this is like an homage, you know, to those guys.
That's awesome, bro. I mean, I've already heard the song, but like I'm even more excited to listen to it again now that you brought that up. Yeah, Pandy, Fulib, um, everyone else you mentioned, those are the bros. All right, without further ado, Sunspot.
Run it back for me. One time. 5, 6, 7, 8. Get whatever you want. And left, turn left, turn left, turn left. Let this night go. Let this go. Take the light, take your soul. We look so good. They wish they could be for reasons so much of this easy. Let this night go. Let this go. Get whatever you want. Sweet 16s and a 16. Tenderonis looking right for the flip screen. Mont Blanc blue, tell them what the lick read. It's the juice for the jig, are you listening? Look up at the stars, check my timeline. Shawty throwing way through it for the 9-9. Double low call, lucky 7 my ties. Bozo is the flow, you can never quantize. Extra fries, make it snappy. Mans is lackey, shout Swainville, they want no smoke with the tools we told. Kick drums for the scum, pop your gums, stay close. My anything goes with wolves when sheets closed. Let's probably lay low, slide with the gang, cause we know we got the lane open. Stay focused if you oppose it. Capping is a drug, what you trying to cope with, huh? Think about it, take a second. Change your mood, bonsai ties, tell me what you want, do. Brown tings in the wings, looking cute, it's a view. Vision in the kitchen, pull up to the drive-through. Blessed down Bow Wow, that's my 8-spoon coon. Matte brand snacks, 10 colors all new. But the secret to the sauce, ice so boom. Plant it in the soul, let it grow, let it bloom. Pull off what y'all could never do, nigga. You're done now. Yeah. Pay attention. You wish for switches like this to flip. Got the Basquiat bars on tap to wit. Keep the ladies' white toes, fishnet 6-inch. I'm D-Wade when I call, she say, what's the sit? Your face beat, ma. Ben I got you playing with the heat, ma. Don't let them slide, run it up. Gabby Union's over here smoking clover, smell the chill. Let Miss Dunn sip away for lunch. Pandy, are you okay? Said, Pandy, are you okay? Are you okay? Pandy, dabbing in and the wells in your midst. On fight, dog, you just slick. Mic check to the wrist, breathe in, breathe out. The James told me run my mouth, go yay. Rome say, do the Chris, pre-Tokyo drift. Flow so blue chick, you got no skips. Just a Beyblade, let that Sean rip. Sick with the pen, you can call me John Wick. Ops in the walk and we cooking non-stick. Scab on your dome, you must chill with Tom and Dick. Pre and you still don't believe it, non-stick. The future's in the mirror, if you black like Caption. I put truth over kicks and claps. Back, you got next lump sum, pay respects. 1 foot on your neck, sipping tea with complexion. That's facts.
Man, that was straight fire. I heard all the references this time around.
Yeah, I literally I put so much into that song because I just like I had gotten to that point where like the album did really well and like people were so excited about the music, and I was just like, yo, it doesn't even make sense for me to do anything else without saying thank you. And I was just like, man, it's gonna be too much to reach out to all these guys, so let me just make a song. And I started just like putting it together and just finding ways to like really incorporate all the people that I thought, deserve that, like that look, you know what I'm saying, people that really just pushed me to like be better and just like make different types of beats and just like push myself, as a producer and as a songwriter. So yeah, I'm glad you got to peep them, because that's like, how many people have heard that song and like they have no idea who I'm talking about. So yeah, this is dope.
And man, well, I know you mentioned you really liked how people were like creating their own projects from scratch. I know you have this thing you're trying to do, or you are doing, Mavens. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? That maybe isn't mentioned in this blip.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Mavens, it started as sort of like a uh or I thought it was going to start as a collective. So uh, I was really looking at the space, like I would say, yeah, like last year, geez, maybe 2 years ago now. Oh my gosh! So I was looking at the space through like the pandemic, and I was just kind of like jumping into Web3 and kind of like getting more into it. And I was like, yo, there are so many dope creators and people that I know are going to miss this movement because they maybe are just not tapped into the right sources, right? So like I remember when like Bored Ape Yacht Club was like nothing, like the floor was like below 1 ETH. Like I remember that, you know what I'm saying? And I remember like being on Clubhouse in rooms with people who are like, what do you think of Bored Ape Yacht Club? And I literally remember being like, Bored Ape Yacht Club is not lit. I don't like the like, I don't understand the point of it. So like there, but and like, still like it's become what it's become, right? But on a cultural level, like there are disconnects between like, you know, the desire for like Bored Ape Yacht Club to be in hip hop culture, but it's not stewarded by anybody in hip hop culture,
Right.
right? Like there's no like so I just thought about it and I was like, yo, like there's so much that people are gonna miss if we don't find a way to create the connection to build the bridge. And a lot of what I've been doing as as Visionnaire in the Web3 space, even back then, was like dot connecting. So I was like, yo, what does it look like for me to like actually do this, like for a living, like to just become a consultant, become an advisor, and just like put people on to dope stuff. So I hooked up with a lot of my friends. Most of them own the companies that are or work at the companies that are listed here. So like Culture Hub is like, my boy CJ, and that's like a digital publication dedicated to, to creators of culture and just like people of color in general. And like, was just like, yo, y'all got to jump into Web3 if you're not already in. And, people were like, yo, I was thinking about it. What do you suggest we do? And I'm like, follow me. We going to figure it out. Like, so that's how it started. And then it grew into like, like now I'm actually consulting on like NFT projects and like, building out like one of the things I'm working on is like building out a charity protocol for to bring in women in third world countries into Web3. And it's going to be built on like an NFT collection. So yeah, it's definitely manifested, but it literally just started as like, how can I do good with this technology was really the question I asked myself, So that's what Mavens is. It's really just a consultancy that I run myself. And I run it with my homies, like we partner on stuff and build really cool, activations. I got something coming up for NFT NYC with Culture Hub. That's going to be like crazy, like gigantic party that we're throwing to onboard people into Web3 and get people wallets. So yeah, that's what Mavens is.
I'm jealous that you're going to be at NFT NYC, but hope you have fun. That sounds really exciting. And I mean, yeah, like I said before, this work is, very important. And, I'm glad you're doing it. You're definitely someone, I mean, no pun intended, with the vision and um with the means and the determination, to really get all this stuff done um because yeah, it's very important. Um I
Appreciate
guess
you, man.
to things you have done with this so far include, Flora, which is your most recent project.
Yep.
Are is this Did Mavens kind of happen and then Flora, or was it kind of together, or did you kind of was it more retrospective?
Yeah, so they kind of happened. I released Flora at the same time that I like launched Mavens. So I did a listening party for Flora in Brooklyn, and I live streamed it on Clubhouse and Instagram Live. And yeah, basically uh I launched it. So like a lot of the OG members of Mavens, when it was sort of like a collective, like we all gathered at the spot where I did my listening party, and we just talked to the people about Web3, and just like the future and like what it looks like for the technology to blend with the culture. So that was like the beginnings of it. And then it's since has like transitioned into like a company that I run more so myself. Um, and Flora is really like sort of like the album that brings my experience like leading up to like the pandemic, like all the like crazy stuff that was going on in my life, and then like me discovering Web3 and like finding this like whole new tribe and community. So yeah, Flora itself is like I look at it as sort of like the stepping off point, where like I really stepped fully into Web3, and like this music is representative of like a chapter in my life, where I literally transformed. Like you know, I hate to do this, it's so corny, but like I literally bloomed. Like I think of myself as a flower. So yeah, that's what Flora really is. It's like it marks a very significant point in my life, as an artist and as a person.
I mean, I'm glad you were able to, to record that literally and just like metaphorically in your music, because years from now, this is going to mean a whole lot different than it did when you made it, just from like a reflecting perspective. And even just, this is where you started as far as Rep 3. And yeah, and it's a great project. So, this is very cool. And I know you like to you have your flower themes. I wanted to ask if there like what the intention was there with your um floral themes.
Yeah, so it really stems from the logo for Visionnaire, which is a lotus flower. So when I was building out Visionnaire, like I said, I was like really just like I was trying to find a way to make music without being like front and
Right.
center. And I was like thinking about like I researched like every artist that has a symbol. I researched Prince, I researched like Kanye with like the teddy bear, and just like I was just really just like, okay, what's gonna be my symbol? Like how am I gonna create this thing where like, people will know like the bat signal. Like when people see this, they know what it is, right? And I remember because like, the part I kind of left out is like when I got out of that deal, I was really, really depressed. Like 2015, like was a tough year for me because I sort of just was like lost in like um just feeling like I wasn't good enough, like I literally went through that label situation that people talk about where like it was horrible. Like it was really, really bad at certain points for me, on like a mental and emotional health level. So out of the deal, I was sort of like, man, like am I even good enough? Like I was like writing for other people and producing for other people, and like nothing seemed to be working, right? So that was like adding to my depression. And when I started thinking about coming back to like making music and like singing my own records, I was like, I just stumbled upon like the lotus flower. And I recognized that because I was reading about it, that the lotus flower actually means rebirth. And like a lot of different cultures, it has the same meaning of like rebirth. It's like this flower that grows from the mud, and it comes out and it's beautiful on this lily pad, and it's like there's no dirt on it because of like how it blooms. So I was just like, yo, that symbolism meant a lot to me. And like that's really where it started, was like the lotus flower. And then it just started branching out into like, okay, I can just incorporate, because I also just love flowers in general. So I was like, I can incorporate flowers into just like the branding. But yeah, the flower for Visionnaire, it literally, it means rebirth. You know, it's like you can start over whenever you want. You know what I'm saying? You can create something new whenever you want. Like there's no rules. You just have to be willing to start clean, you know what I'm saying, and be willing to start from scratch.
I hear you. I hear you. I think that's amazing that you're able to how do I say it? I mean, yeah, it's really hard not to, see somebody and attach their, the person or the face to it. So, it's really impressive that you're able to just do this, you like being faceless essentially. Um, because like you said, you just appreciate it for the music itself or for how the music makes you feel, etc. And, I think the flower is very fitting, um, just given all your experiences that you've talked about. Um, so yeah, and yeah, I know you've stuck with this flower for like 7, 8 years at this point. So I appreciate that consistency. That's the respect.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm about, man. And the one artist I gotta shout out. I can't even talk about Visionnaire without talking about this one artist. And it's dope to be in a conversation with you because you might know who this artist is because of our love of SoundCloud. So like the one artist that really showed me like being anonymous and like making music that people care about was possible is The Code. So The Code is like a huge influence on all the stuff that I do. And like I discovered The Code through I discovered The Code definitely through selection, but also through the homie DJ New York Giant. It's like when I first started listening to like The Code from like his first album 111. So that's an anonymous artist that now we're friends. Like I was just merely a fan, you know what I'm saying? And now we're like homies, so that's another artist that inspired the whole anonymity move.
That's yeah, that's great. I actually don't know The Code, so now I feel ashamed. No, I'm just kidding. But I got to check them out after this. I wanted to play, or actually, why don't we? I wanted to, yeah. What's next for Mavens and what do y'all got? What do you plan to have going on the rest of the year or however long?
Yeah, definitely. So what I'm really working on is like on the community side, because like Visionaire is sort of like in Web3, it's like it's like two sides. So like one is the music side of like, which is like me creating my own music and creating projects related to my music. And then there's like this community side that's like me and like how I show up in like the Web3 community, specifically like the black and brown like Web3 community. So like on the music side, I'm releasing like my first NFT project. It's going to be a music video, and it's going to be like my genesis, and it's for a song on my album called Yams, which I think is probably the song you're going to play next. So that's like so that's on that side. On the community side, um I'm working on a couple things. Like one of them on a music tip, it's not my music, but it's like a music platform. I'm building and consulting for this company called Inflow. That's really dope. It's like a social token minting platform that allows for artists to create their own sort of like content portfolios. And the goal with Inflow is one, to give artists and fans the opportunity to like really gain unique access to content in the form of like token utility. So like imagine a portfolio of like music videos, unreleased songs, access to live streams, and it's all built in one easy to use interface, and it's all gated by by your artist social token, right? So building with them, and then another project I'm working on that I'm really excited about, it's like outside of my music, is basically a charity protocol for a really, really big brand. I can't give any like details just yet because we're gonna announce soon. But basically, the goal is to bring 25 million women into Web3 by 2030, and we're we're making our way. We're making our way. Like there's some really really interesting stuff that's going to come out with this collection, this NFT collection, and how it basically allocates funds to initiatives in other countries that give women an opportunity to like learn Solidity, or like to illustrate for a 10K project, or give them access to like mint a one of one, and like actually teach them about Web3, but also help them be financially responsible at the same time with their crypto. So those are like the things I'm really excited about, that I think are gonna change the landscape of the space and just give artists and people around the world like more access to the technology.
I wish you the best of luck on all of those things. Those are, really great things that need to be done, and you were right. I am definitely going to play Yams after this. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see what brand you're working with. And 25 million sounds like a big goal, but it sounds doable over your 10-year period, especially. I feel like the overall trend is kind of hitting that like maximum velocity, exponential peak type of thing, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely, it's gonna be beautiful. And I promise, as soon as I can like say something, you'll be one of the first people I hit up. You know what I'm saying? Because I definitely wanna would love to get them on the whale community radio, and talk about the project, and just like it's got some audio stuff in it. I could say that. It's got some spoken word, so yeah, it's really dope. And like I'm honestly like, it's a dream to be able to create space for people who otherwise wouldn't have it. That's like why I started Visionnaire. Like I wanted to make music that was sort of like the voice for people who like maybe felt like they didn't have one, and just do it in a really unique way, on like the production tip. So feels very aligned, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we're on the same wavelength as far as making, with everything we do, looking at it through an equity lens. Because it's important to be present and intentional in everything we do.
Big facts. Oh
All
man.
right.
Yeah.
Transitioning into Yams, which is also the title of V's Genesis NFT music video, or whole project.
Yeah, it's gonna be a music video. Yeah.
Okay. Genesis NFT music video. I can't wait until that comes out. All right. Here is Yams.
Bam, them, yeah, they soft and sweet. I like some extra right next to my green. Damn Skippy, she's gorgeous to me. Built for the extra. That way it's sitting, mama, sitting on the loose. Controlling my life, people. Body mine like a peacock. Baby, they stay moisturized. Keep a watchful eye for the thick girl smile. You know the arms match thighs, match calves on it. Put her hands at the cuff for the flash walking. To my back for your phone, make a path for it. Ain't a snack, no, she all you can eat. Make her see. Looking for me? Yes, them, yeah, they soft and sweet. I like some extra right next to my green. Damn Skippy, she's gorgeous to me. Built for the extra. That way it's sitting, mama, sitting. Out that there is real estate. Thighs feel like some hot links on the dinner plate. Stay sitting the tone, y'all just can't sing it straight. That Beyonce energy intimidates. Stay in your place, bow down, because the arms match the thighs, match the calves, only matching. Hands at the cuff for the flash, oh yeah. Back for your phone, make a pass for her. Ain't a snack, no, she all you can eat, take the seat.
Filling our pants like contracts, she a little busybody. Throwing it crazy, that in your face, she ain't even think about it. Off of the chart, excel. The stallion 10 every day. Venus in front, party in back, make you wanna see about it.
You know, all that time. She got body. Hands in the club for the flash. Oh, yeah. For your phone, fast for it. Ain't a snack, no, she all you can eat. Take a sweet. You want a piece? Yes, damn, they so sweet. I like some extra. Right next to my green. Damn, 50, she's gorgeous to me. That way is sitting. That big like an acme amber, that's full price and fried bananas. Got dumps in every weight class, damn it, keep the jokes in the full bar, booty gooda. Shorty acting like an acme amber, that's full price and fried bananas. Got dumps in every weight class, yeah.
Keep the jokes in the full bar, booty gooda. She got the hands.
Yes, man, damn, they so sweet. Like so right next to my green. You look so good, show me baby. That way is sitting. Yes, man, they soft, they sweet. I like some extra. Right next to my green. Damn Skippy, she's gorgeous to me. Built for the extras. Yeah.
Keep the jokes in the full bar, booty gooda. She got the yams.
That was definitely a vibe. It kind of just had me in a trance. I loved the dynamics in it, you know, the high pitched voices and then the low pitched and just everything on the spectrum.
That song is like me just having a lot of fun with like my voice and just like pretty much like that main instrument in there is actually my voice, like the da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. That's like
really?
me. Yeah, I just put it on a keyboard and then like, you know, built out the chord progression and then broke it up with the arpeggiator and Logic. So like, yeah, that song is just like just having the maximum amount of fun. And then there's actually a sound in there. It's like the little click sounds, like the I can't even do it.
Yeah,
but anyway, no. But those sounds actually came from a video that I think Monty posted it. I think Monty Booker posted it, and it was like somebody tweeted it and was like, Monty got to sample this because it sounded like some Monty Booker shit. And I was like, yo, that sounds so fire. And there was like one part of it, I was like, it low-key sounds like it's in the key of this beat that I happened to be working on at the time, which is the beat for Yams. And I just like ripped the sound from YouTube and then just like put it in there, and it like worked perfectly. So yeah, this song is representative of me just having a lot of fun on the production side and on like the vocal production side. And then but on like the songwriting side, like it, you know, it has a lot of meaning. And it's why it's my Genesis music video. So I'm really excited to talk about this.
I can definitely feel that energy because, you know, it made me have fun as I was over here listening to it, just head bopping. And I feel like I've definitely seen that Monty Booker video. Like it's like in the back of my head. I can just barely remember that video. I feel like I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like some kid and he like puts the like these little like marbles on this wood thing.
Yeah.
And they all the marbles go down the thing. Yeah, I heard the sound and I was like, oh my God, I need this.
All right, moving on to Project Yams. I'll just read this first thing. This Grow Fund is for creators, supporters, and collectors seeking to participate in the birth of Yams, a unique collaborative work by VSN and friends. The goal is to introduce the universe of Vision through a high-quality visual production shooting this May. So, I mean, congrats on your 10 ETH. You know, I really hope this thing gets, you know, completed, if not more. It's a great project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? I'm gonna,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So basically, I'm shooting a music video with some very close friends and people I trust on the visual side. And the goal is to really create a protocol for cultural projects on chain. So basically, what I plan to do with this crowdfund is obviously for mirror crowdfunds, there's a token that's minted in association with the crowdfund. So um,
Right.
on the 1155 contract, if you don't put in enough ETH to get a NFT from the crowdfund, you get these tokens, right? And for Yams, obviously, I made them Yams tokens. So what I'm planning to do is the top 10 contributors to this crowdfund. Obviously, they have the most tokens. That's how most of these things go. So the top 10 contributors to the crowdfund are actually going to redistribute their tokens to Black women that I've made a little short list of to actually co-produce the project. So the idea is like ultimately, right? People of color, unfortunately, don't always have the funds to be able to drop an ETH or 4 ETH or
Right.
2 ETH into these projects. So what does it look like where the people that do have that money, right, are able to actually like you get the NFT, but then you can actually offload those tokens, right, to people that maybe could not, contribute or participate in a monetary way. But now on chain, I have proof that there are right people getting an opportunity to work on a project that's like 100% about them, right? So that way I don't have like a bunch of white dudes and like non-black people creating a project about black people, right? But at the same time, those non-black people can participate and they can fund these projects at the same time. So yeah, it's really just like I said, like a protocol that I hope becomes more of a standard and gives people sort of like an option when they're creating stuff that like centers their culture to like, let me get the money from where I can get the money from. But now I have a way to actually allocate control of this project or governance of this over this project to the people I'm making it for. So that's really the focus for the mirror component of it.
I really resonate with the overall message. I think that idea is great to be able to contribute and I guess not lend, but be able to give resources to those who may not always have it, especially Black and brown folks and indigenous folks. Um and and just to be able to give them, a platform, because those identities typically, especially with your, quasi anonymous web3 avatar, profile picture, Twitter, those things can kind of brushed to the side because you're just looking at a profile picture, but we forget that, there's a whole there's a whole bunch of identities with each person, with each handle that, doesn't always get talked about. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed too, and this is the last thing I'll say on it, because I definitely all the sauce is in the Mirror article, so definitely go read that. Even if you're not going to contribute, just read, share it. But the one thing that I recognize that's really important is like a lot of like the BIPOC community, like I think about it as participating on two different levels, right? So you have people that can participate at the level of money, right? Like they got money and they're like, yo, I love this, or like, I rock with you as an artist. I want to give you money because this is the one thing that I can do to help make
Right.
this thing a reality. And then you have other people, right, that can participate at the level of culture, right? We're like, yo, like I'm a stylist or a makeup artist, or like, yo, I'm a dope art director, or like, yo, I may not have the money, but like I can make the project dope. Like I can add to it in a way that makes it really cool and actually ultimately increases the value, right, of that NFT, right, because of my contribution. So like my thing was like, how do I get people to participate at the level that they can participate at, but create a system of valuation where like I can ascribe value to people who can only participate at the level of culture and not the level of money, right? So like that's the thing that really like clicked for me, was like there's a way at every level that people create culture, right? Sometimes it's monetary, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's like being an advisor or a consultant. Sometimes like I know, it's like you got that friend that like can't do anything, can't make beats, but they have a good ear. Like they know, like, yo, this is tough, but like something is off about this. Like it's not hitting. And you're like, the kick drum, I gotta remix, or but it's like that person just added value to what it is that you're building, right? Now, I don't think
Right.
you should, write that friend into your splits. You know what I mean? But like, what does it look like in Web3 for that friend to actually like, yo, like I'm doing something with this beat. I want you to vote on what rapper gets on it. Like that's fire. You know what I'm saying? That's like really cool. So that's really what I'm trying to prove with the mirror component of the crowdfund for this music video. And the funds that I raise will be allocated to the budget to produce the actual music video.
You, yeah, yeah, you said so much stuff, and I'm just like, I'm over here snapping, agreeing with everything. Yeah, the inclusivity of being able to participate without without it solely being monetarily based is really great. And focusing on BIPOC and queer folks is just, these are things that I really value, as being inclusive and equitable. So I really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. And I'm appreciative of you highlighting it. This is really cool for me because like I spend so much time highlighting other people's projects. I'd be forgetting to talk about mine sometimes. So yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity just to like talk about the vision, no pun intended.
um I guess with the music video, you know, you got about a week left until it's May. Do you is that still set, to shoot in May?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be we're probably gonna shoot like the end of May, more than
Oh,
likely.
right,
So
right.
yeah, I'm working on that last like I think I got about like it's like I think it's like 15K or 20K. So I'm working on that last 20K. I definitely have been participating in some grant programs and like just like putting the project wherever I can put it to get the looks. But I got a plan to get the rest of that, to get that final like what 6 ETH. So yeah, definitely working on it. But yeah, it's probably gonna shoot at the end of May, potentially first week of June. And I'm thinking about hopefully I'll be able to release it in July. And it'd be like this really cool sort of like kind of unique music video. It's gonna be more of like it's going to be a music video with a story. So like you're going to have to watch from beginning to end to really like understand what's going on. And it might lead into some other things, some other projects that I'm lining up for the end of the year, and live performances as well. So that's all I can say though.
Okay, so it even has utility.
Oh yes,
Some
it's definitely
some
got
some
utility.
alpha just leaked. Yeah,
Yes,
no,
it
I
will.
can't wait to see it and just watch it. Even just the music video itself would be enough to, grant its value. Just the utilities are just kind of extra cherries on top. I feel like that's been a conversation that's been had lately, is like, is the art, is the music, is that enough to sell this one of one or 25 edition piece, or is utility always like required or a necessity? How do you see that conversation?
Yeah, that's a good question. It honestly, that's what stopped me from minting an NFT for so long, because I was like, man, I can't just drop this song. Like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was definitely on the utility end of the spectrum at first. I was like, whatever I do, it needs to like really offer people value in exchange for the money I'm asking for. I think that is still true to a certain extent, that utility is important, especially as an artist. Like I think as independent artists, we have this really dope opportunity to use tokens as sort of like our data aggregators, right? So the same way that like an email list functions as a way for us to convert loyal followers or fans into like customers or buyers, right? Utility is the way that we maintain relationships with our collectors, and we keep them as collectors, right? Because they know, yo, like Visionnaire is offering me value. Like I got to keep coming back. I got to keep up with whatever he's doing, buy his tokens, blah, blah, blah. So I think utility is important, but I don't think it's everything. You know, I think a song being
Right.
good or a music video being like moving, I think is enough, right? For me and how I'm thinking about utility for like what I'm building is I'm looking at it as sort of like, um, how can I world build? Like, how can I build a universe that people want to buy into? Right. So, like, you get this token, and now it's like, yeah, you have this token, and this music video is fire. And like, if you stop there, you would be happy. But there are more things that I can offer you, be it live performances from me, be it sort of like, other experiences. Like, I'm really interested in like building out a community, utilizing a metaverse. So I'm not like on Discord. Like I kind of have a community that's like, yo, actually pull up and talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll play, I'll work on beats live in the metaverse. You know what I'm saying? Like, so building out something that feels uh like less of like utility and more of like experience, I think is probably like how I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the concept of quote unquote utility and utility for music NFTs.
I like that. I like that quote. Less on utility, more on experience, because I think utility feels very, transactional, whereas experience feels more, you know, um, the opposite of transact, like communal or like relationship based, which I think is very important.
Absolutely. And like there's such a thing as I think words are very powerful. Like as a songwriter, like I spend so much time on words and like what word am I going to use here in at this specific point in this specific bar. So I think like interchanging utility for experience, it really levels up, it allows the individual to imagine beyond like utility. Utility feels very like, okay, like you said, it's very transactional. It's like, okay, this does this. Like you put this in and you get this out. But experience is like, as an artist, like an experience can be anything, right? It's literally up to your imagination, and that's what interested me about NFTs in the first place was like an NFT could literally be anything. So the utility for your NFT, the experience that you provide for your NFT could be anything, right? And that's really like where I'm at is like pushing that envelope and just setting a standard so that other independent artists know that it's possible and like you can do it, and it can be something that you curate, like your ideas and your like vision of how you want your shit to roll out matters, and it is possible, so that's what you can definitely look forward to from me, and with Project Yams.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you got every nook and cranny of your details lined up, and I can't wait for it.
Appreciate that. Been working on it for the better part of a year, so it better be ready by now.
I feel you there. Sometimes it takes that long. Sometimes you make it in 20 minutes, as far as the song goes, and
Big
there's really no
facts.
rush in the process.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your perspectives and everything you got going on. I wanted to end with one last song. Is it pronounced Ase?
So it's pronounced Ashe, actually, like
Ashe.
with the H
Okay.
in it.
Thank you for correcting
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Of course, yeah. And I could give just a little bit of perspective on it. So
Oh yeah, of course.
Ashe, yeah, Ashe is basically it's a West African word, and really the concept of Ashe is like, once you speak it, it exists, right? So like all those like the concept of manifestation, like writing down or like saying like, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am healthy, like after you say those things, like in American culture, like Christianity, you say amen, right? But in West African culture, you say ashe. So it's like this concept of like whatever you say, then you say ashe. Now it is happening, right? Because you said it. So this song is really a reminder to myself that like once again, that like words have power, and like our intention, has power. And like if we believe into possibility, then like all things are possible. If we believe into like anxiety and like defeat and like self-doubt, then like that's what we're gonna make possible. So yeah, this song is just a reminder. It's like I call it like my manifestation song.
That was very well said, and it ties back into what you just said about words and how they can impact people, even just replacing a word with something else. So I'm happy to hear the song and to see how I experience it with your new background that you've given it. All right,
Big
so
fact.
this is Ashe, and also this is the end of the interview. So thank you all for watching. Thank you again, V, for coming on.
Of course, appreciate you.
Halfway to soon, little ways from almost making a way, starting to bloom. Universe is focused on all that you say. Allow, just speak what you want. You're here, you belong. Shut eyes and pray what you need. Intent in your thoughts. Breathe deep in. Inhale, growth, exhale, ego. Inhale, growth, exhale, ego. I'm accepting my life in my life, on my mind. Gonna strive. Open third eye. Speak through time. By design, sealed in sound, calling mine. May you forever speak, and so it shall be. May you forever speak, a flower from a seed. May you forever speak, and so it shall be. May you forever speak, a flower from a seed. Yeah.
Bars that come from cosmic strings, I'm sure speak simple, plain. The truth is made demure. When you clear your mind's eye to find time to talk nice to the divine, it's yours. I force my inner self to face the trauma source. Stay hopeful even when there's no way forward. Converse with the flora, match your auras, break curses, shut Pandora with the cure. A choice that I make 40% of the way. There is where the doubt takes shape, but I ain't running around cause I thought it was gonna fail. One man to be guaranteed like Denzel. I call him like I see him. Speak my dreams into being. Never fold, never fade. Like the way with what you say. Ashe.
Light my life on my mind. Gonna strive. Open third eye. Speak through time. By design, sealed in sound, calling mine. I'm accepting light in my life on my mind. Gonna strive. Open third eye. Speak through time. By design, sealed in sign, calling mine. May you forever speak, and so it shall be. May you forever speak, and so it shall be. May you forever speak, and so it shall be. May you forever speak, and so it shall be. Break it down. May you forever speak. I see the light get too red. Watch the shadow get way. May you forever speak. I see the light go to shine. Stand in your place. Yeah. May you forever speak. Yeah. May you forever speak. Speak, and so it shall be. May you forever speak, a flower from flower from a seed.